I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about real estate commissions. Hi, my name is Valna Ellis from Let'sComeAgent.com, where your support and referrals help feed the hungry in our community. As always, this video is a part of the Sellers Beware series, and in the series I share helpful tips in the form of short videos with the sole intention of assisting you in making an informed decision should you decide to sell. For more information, visit www.sellersbewarevideos.com. All right, so let's jump into my computer and let's get started. Okay, so if you can recall, when you actually purchased your first property, you were not required to pay any commission. You didn't hear about any real estate commission. Your representative, your buyer's representative, did not tell you anything about real estate commission. And the reason why you didn't hear anything about commission is because the commission in the Greater Toronto area is never paid by the buyer. It's always paid by the seller. So I'm going to go into details here and I'm going to explain everything you need to know about real estate commissions. Before we can actually start talking about commissions, let's look at representation. Okay, it's essential that we understand representation before we understand commission. So if you can think, when you're actually selling your property, there's a seller involved, and naturally the seller's objective is to find a willing buyer. Okay, the seller hires a listing or selling agent, and here's the responsibility of this listing or selling agent. Their objective is to get the highest price for the seller. So the listing or selling agent actually works for the seller. In return for their efforts, they're actually paid a commission for managing the listing and also for advertising the property until a buyer is actually found. And it's important to note that the listing or selling agent always shares his or her commission with the brokerage that he or she actually represents. It's critical to remember this, okay? Of course, we said that there's a buyer who is also involved. The buyer is going to come with his or her own agent. The buyer's agent responsibility is to get the buyer the lowest price. So they're going to attempt to get the buyer the lowest price. They're also paid a commission for finding the buyer and also submitting a successful offer. So the buyer's agent, when they come with a buyer, they don't just happen to find that particular buyer. They may be working with that particular buyer for years. So in my case, I've actually had a number of my buyers that I've been working with for an extended period of time, 2 years, 3 years, consistently over the 2 or 3 year period. Perhaps the credit score wasn't good enough. Perhaps the income wasn't good enough. Okay? And therefore it's his responsibility of the buyer's agent to manage the activities of that potential buyer over that extended period of time so that eventually this person or this family is able to purchase a property. Okay? So whenever the buyer comes whenever the agent, the buyer's agent comes in with an offer, then the buyer's agent is compensated for his or her efforts. Again, the buyer's agent shares his or her commission with the brokerage that they work for. Now let's go into the two types of commission. So there are two types of commission that you would actually have to pay when the time comes to actually sell your home, should you use the services of a real estate salesperson or real estate broker. You're going to be paying the buyer's agent commission. So we just spoke about the buyer and the buyer's agent. And you're also going to be paying the listing agent commission. The listing agent is the person that represents you, that works for you. In addition to these two commissions, there's a third fee that you may have to pay based on who you actually use. Some realtors actually charge a service fee or a consultant fee, and this fee actually ranges from $499 all the way up to $999. The best way to find out if the realtor that you intend to use actually charge a fee, a service fee or a consultation fee, is to call the realtor and to ask him or her whether or not they charge a service fee, or you can actually ask this question when you have a discussion with the realtor concerning the sale of your property. Now let's look in detail at the buyer's agent commission. Okay, so we spoke about the buyer's agent commission. We told you that it's compensation for the buyer's agent for submitting a successful offer. This commission is typically 2.5% plus HST in the Greater Toronto area. Okay, this 2.5% plus HST has nothing to do with the listing agent. So the listing agent is responsible for negotiating this commission with the seller, but the listing agent doesn't get this particular commission, doesn't get to keep this particular commission. This commission, once the property is sold, is sent over to the buyer's brokerage, the company that represents the buyer's agent, that employs the buyer's agent, actually gets this 2.5% commission. Okay, so it's important that you remember this. Okay, you might say, well, why do I have to pay 2.5% commission? You don't have to pay the 2.5% commission, but bear in mind 90% of sellers actually pay this commission, and the reason why they pay this commission is because buyers agents have come to expect this 2.5, this level of compensation, because it has been the standard in the Greater Toronto area for many years. So in other words, most sellers pay at least 2.5% commission to the buyer's agent for bringing a successful offer to them. And just another tip as well, even people who are actually selling properties on their own, they're not hiring a listing agent, they're selling the property on their own, they also pay this 2.5% to the buyer's agent. Okay, now let's turn to the listing agent commission. So this is compensation, as we said, to the listing agent for advertising your home until a buyer is actually found. This commission ranges from 1%, from a low of 1%, all the way up to 4%. Okay, of course, this is based on, so the commission that you pay is directly connected to the marketing plan that you choose. Okay, usually a person who comes to you and say, you know what, I'm gonna charge you 1% commission, it's because they don't expect to spend any money on marketing or advertisement. There's nothing in 1% to cover marketing, to cover advertisement. So for example, one ad in a major newspaper is $500. Okay, if you use a reputable company to stage the property, that's hundreds of dollars. Don't talk about local advertisement in community newspapers. There are 9 community newspapers, for example, in Peel region. There is another 7 or 8 local community newspapers in the Toronto area. And of course, every different region, Durham region, York region, every single region actually have local community newspapers, and the cost to advertise in all of these combined is quite expensive. You add social media, you add national campaigns, you add international campaigns, you add the photography, the professional photography, you add professional videography. The marketing budget can be quite substantial. So the person who says they're going to charge 1% typically is not going to spend much on marketing or advertisement. Of course, some realtors charge up to 4% commission. Again, you get what you pay for. Okay, the percentage you pay is based on the marketing plan, and whenever the realtor comes in to present to you, they have to be able to justify the commission that they're about to charge. Of course, this fee with this listing broker is always negotiable. Okay, all right, so now we're going to look at this particular diagram here. I want to tie everything up I just spoke about with this particular diagram, and hopefully it will actually make everything clear to you. So here's this property that's on the market. The listing agent actually negotiated in this particular case 5% commission, 2.5% for the buyer's broker that we spoke about, and he also or she also negotiated 2.5% for his or her brokerage. So the commission that's paid is not paid to the buyer's broker. It's not paid to the listing broker or listing salesperson. The commission check actually goes to the brokerage that employs either one of them. The brokerage then retains a portion of this particular commission and then gives the rest to the listing agent in the case of the listing agent, and also retains a portion in the case of the buyer's agent, and then gives the rest to the buyer's agent. Okay, so always bear in mind that the commission that goes to either the listing agent or the buyer's agent first goes to the listing brokerage or the buyer's brokerage. They then remove their fee, they retain their fee, and then they give the balance to the listing agent or the buyer's agent. Okay? So I hope this actually made it clear for you. I hope I answered the questions and all the misunderstandings about commission. Of course, if you actually got value from this particular video, then I encourage you to share it with somebody who can actually use the information. And of course, for more information, you can actually visit sellersbewarevideos.com if you want more helpful tips that will assist you in making an informed decision should you decide to sell. Thank you so much for your time. You take care, and we'll see you in the next video.